मम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणविचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेव। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री सदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्ण. So we'll continue our discussion. So here Lord Kapila is telling his mother. So he told that how what are the principles that need to be followed by a devotee. Then he explains in one of the instruction is you should respect according everybody according to different grades. And then he explained that it is actually the consciousness that actually matters. How the consciousness is the cause of various forms of body. That means our subtle body is the cause of the gross body. That is the proper science in understanding. How I got this body is based on what type of body I have, what type of subtle body I have. So, and then we respect every living entity, knowing that they're all living entities only, but they got different bodies because of their their consciousness. That's all. And then he says, "My dear mother, O daughter of Manu, a devotee who applies the science of devotional service, like what all he told in the previous verses till now, how he should see the Supreme Lord in all living entities. All living entities are same. They're coverings of the body, how they should be respected, not to be envious, not to have separate mentality, being selfless. All these things he has instructed. And he says, now if he follows the science of devotional service mystic yoga in this way, which he has explained till now, can achieve the abode of supreme person simply by that devotional service. So he has explained what all the devotional service is. And the most important thing is non-envious. Then Bhagavatam can be understood. Paramo nirmatsaranam satam. How Bhagavatam is dharma projita gaita otra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. So if we are free from envy, then we can understand Bhagavatam. So what all science which Lord Kapila explained is how to be free from envy. How we don't see the sin of the sinner. We see the sin from the person separate. Then no matter how much he is doing anything wrong, we never become envious of them. We know, yeah, it's external covering that is actually making this person act in this particular way. We just have to overlook that. The spirit soul is always pure, no matter whichever body he is. That understanding will help us to appreciate Bhagavatam, go more deeper and understand the depth of Bhagavatam more clearly because of this one quality. And more a person is advanced, more he is free. We may not become envious of somebody who is very far and somebody who's very superior, somebody is very junior. We will generally become envious of people who are equals. That is the greatest problem. Yeah. So Prabhupada has some very nice points to share in this. He gave very huge purport. Herein, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapildev perfectly explained that the mystic yoga system, consisting of 8 different kinds of yoga activities, has to be performed with the aim of coming to the perfectional stage of Bhakti Yoga. It is not acceptable for one to be satisfied simply by practicing the sitting postures and thinking it was complete. By meditation, one must attain the stage of devotional service. As previously described, a yogi is advised to meditate on the form of Lord Vishnu on point to point, from the ankle to the leg, to the knees, to the thighs, to the chest, to the neck, and in this way, gradually up to the face and then to the ornaments. There is no question of impersonal meditation. So here Prabhupada is telling, yeah, a yogi, he should ultimately come gradually elevating his consciousness. And then he says that when by meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all in all detail, one comes to the point of love of God. That is the point of Bhakti Yoga. So from Jnana, he's coming to Bhakti. Of course, he can directly come, but they have this Yoga Shraddha. They want to do this yoga and all. So for them, they ultimately come. Oh, they will get attracted. Oh, this is nice, something good. At that point, he must actually render service to the Supreme Lord out of transcendental love, which we are trying to do it now only. Of course, there is no love, but we are trying to achieve. Anyone who practices yoga comes to the point of devotional service can attain the Supreme Personality of God in his transcendental abode. Here it is clearly stated, Purusha, Purusham Braje. The Purusha, the living entity, goes to the Supreme Person. The Supreme Personality of God and the living entities are qualitatively one. Both are defined as Purusha. The quality of Purusha exists both in the Supreme Godhead and in the living entity. Purusha means enjoyer. The spirit of enjoyment is both in the living entity and Supreme Lord. So that is actually the main problem for us. The spirit of enjoyment is actually holding us here. The living entity cannot experience the same quantity of enjoyment as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Any analogy may be made with a rich man and a poor man. The propensity for enjoying is present in both, but the poor man cannot enjoy in the same quantity as the rich man. When the poor man dovetails his desires with those of the rich man, however, and when there is a cooperation between the poor and the rich man, or between the big and small, then the enjoyment is shared equally. That is Bhakti Yoga. So we have to connect ourselves with the Supreme Lord, then we can also enjoy the same appliances like Him. That is what His Lord is trying to make arrangement. And the living entity enters in the kingdom of God and cooperates with the Supreme Lord by giving him enjoyment, he enjoys. It's not that Lord is very envious and He's kept this material world a place of suffering, not of compassion. He don't want us to be happy with something dead matter. He wants us to give something spirit. He wants us to enjoy in a spiritual level. The dead matter cannot give so much happiness to the spirit soul. It is happiness, but it is not the way it can be enjoyed in a spiritual level. So Lord, out of compassion, He is not allowing us to enjoy here. That's why He made this place little miserable so that we will understand, okay, it does not work for me. Let me go back and back to God. That's how He's. On the other hand, when the living entity want to enjoy by imitating the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his desire is called Maya. A living entity who wants to enjoy on his personal account and not cooperate with the Supreme Lord is engaged in materialistic life. This is all, you all heard it many times. And then the next he says that Etat Bhagavato Rupam Brahmana Paramatmanaha Pradhanam Purusham Divyam Karma Vicheshtitam. This Purusha, who is individual soul, must approach in the eternal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Brahman and Paramatma, his transcendental chief personality, and his activities are all spiritual. This is a very important point that he, in order to distinguish the personality whom the individual soul must approach, it is desired herein that the Purusha, Supreme Lord, is chief amongst all living entities, the ultimate form of impersonal Brahman effulgence. So, Aham Sarvasya Prabho. So, Prabhupada explained that how we should know this knowledge tattvataha, tyaktva deham punarjanma. If we know about the Lord tattvataha, then it is easy. रूपाभेदाप्सदं दिव्यं काल इति अभिधीयते भूतानाम् आदीनं यतो भिन्न दृशां भयम्. The time factor. So now another topic comes. So till now, Lord explained that in the first section, He explained how a yogi should meditate. Of course, in this chapter, previous chapter, He told how a yogi should meditate on the form of the Lord. And in this chapter, He told about devotional service. First, He explained the devotional service in three modes. Then He started explaining about pure devotional service. And in pure devotional service, when the section came, then he started explaining how to practice it. And when the in the section it came how you should treat other living entities. Why he is talking about other living entities, different grades of consciousness and living entities, for the main point that how we should not be envious. We should not treat separatist mentality, because that is a cause of fear, that is a cause of envy. So we are fearful because we are envious. So we see separatedness. So when we give up this envy, we don't see the separatedness, then we are free from fear. And then we'll attain the supreme abode. Now he is coming to the time factor. This another section. He is trying to explain the time. The time factor who causes the transformation of various material manifestation is another feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kalosmi Lokakshegrata. This is very important because scientists are not able to understand this energy of the creation, the energy of time. We are trying to change, we are trying to make so many arrangements, but this energy of time no, changes everything. Nobody is exempted. Nobody can fight against this one energy of the Lord. It's such a difficult energy to handle, even for biggest personalities like Hiranyakashipu. There was so much fighting against time, and he did so much to overcome. With all his austerities, he could not do. What to speak of tiny, tiny scientist of present age? They are very insignificant compared to Hiranyakashipu. He is quite a powerful personality. Except Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, nobody could make him get defeated. So that was his power. And he could not face time. So it's not possible. Time changes everything. It is every moment working on a living entities. It is going background, changing. That's why it is called samsara. It is always moving because of the time factor. And because it is moving, we cannot be permanently at one place and be happy. A soul wants eternal, but time does not let it anything eternal here. That is the tragedy here. And people are trying very hard. Okay, let me be eternal here. Let me be settle everything. Permanent house, permanent job, permanent wife, permanent husband. Nothing is permanent, unfortunately. Anyone who does not know what time is, this is the same supreme personality of God is afraid of the time factor. For devotee, there is no fear. They know it is Lord only who is coming. And he's okay. If he want it this way, I am okay with it. But for a non-devotee, because he does not understand, he does not accept the will of Lord, that's why he is very much afraid. For us, the fear, the degree we are ready to accept the will of Lord, to the degree we are fearless. Look, if Lord want it that way, what can I do? I may be unhappy, but I'm okay. If Lord is taking away my post position, or he's taking away my name, fame, or he's taking away my youth, I'm okay. It's Lord who wants it. That is a devotee. He's taking away your loved ones. He's taking away your health or anything. Lord gave it. Lord is taking it. It is His will. You, because we want to develop a relation with Him, we want to love Him, we accept His will. Here, the important point is everyone is afraid of activities of time. But a devotee who knows that the time factor is another representation or manifestation of Supreme Lord has nothing to fear from the influence of time. So it's Lord only. The phrase Rupa Vedas Padam is very significant. By the influence of time, so many forms are changing. For example, when a child is born, his form is small, but in course of time, that form changes into a larger form. The body of a boy and then a body of a young man. Similarly, everything is changed and transformed by time factor or by the indirect control of the Supreme Personality of God. Usually, we do not see any difference between the body of a child and a body of a boy or a young man, because we know that these changes are due to the action of time factor. There is a cause for fear for a person who does not know how time acts. And we, for us, time acting, but we are accepting the will of Lord. That's why we are little bit little less fearful compared to this. And here it is said, Yontah pravishya bhutani bhuter akilashraya sa Vishnu akyo Nyeshu Kala Kalayatam Prabhu. Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the enjoyer of all sacrifices, is the time factor, the master of all masters. He enters everyone's heart. He is the support of everyone, and he causes every being to be annihilated by another. And this is what Lord is doing as time factor. Is master of all masters. He is the support of everyone. He is the cause of every being to be annihilated by another. Some living entity, Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. That is Lord only is doing. The Lord comes, like we have this famous story of a Brahmani lady, I think uh, Gautami lady, I think she is she had a very small son. She is a widow lady, and this boy goes for fetching some flowers. Her mother was worshipping, so he went to get some flowers, and suddenly one black cobra she bit the child, and nearby one hunter was there. So he knows that this is a widow and she's having a small child, and now the child is dead. So he becomes little feels very sorry for the woman, but he was very angry with the snake. So he had some abilities to chant the mantras and capture the snake. So he captured the snakes and puts in his basket and brings. And he also brings the dead child and shows that no, your child is dead, and this is because of this snake. So you tell me, what should I do with the snake? And that lady, she was crying and said, "Oh, my child, what sinful activity I did that I lost you, I lost my husband. I am very sinful, and this is my bad karma." She started yelling and crying. And the hunter was telling, "Yes, this snake is the cause. What should I do? Should I chop it into pieces and burn into the fire and all these things?" The lady said, "No, no, no, no. What can I do? The snake, it's only my own bad karma." Then they said, "No, you will get some relief because you could avenge on the perpetrator of the sin who caused it." And she said, "No." And suddenly the snake also got ability to speak. He said, "Arey, how can I be cause? I am sent by no his death forced me to come. That's why I came. So I did not do myself. It was the death who caused." And then the death appears there. Death says, "Why am I cause? Because the time factor came, that's why I came." Then the time factor comes. Then the time says, "Oh, it is the karma that is making me act." Based on the karma, the time came. So ultimately, it is concluded that it is the karma of the living entity which is forcing the time factor. So even though it is time that is working on everyone, but it is our own karma which is making the time to act in that way. Somebody becomes very rich, somebody becomes very famous, somebody loses everything. In note, then we say, okay, it's here we have this famous saying: any wrong happens, good happens. They say, time, time. They use this word as time because it is a neutral thing. You need not blame anyone. He say time. Let's say Kali Yuga, what can be done? So generally, people don't want to take the blame. Then they put all the blame on time. What can be done? Time is not good. Or there is a Kali Yuga time or anything. This is a neutral factor. Nobody takes responsibility if you put on time. But ultimately, it is karma only. The person's karma is coming in that form as a time factor. Here, was writing, Lord Vishnu, the supreme personality of Godhead, is clearly described in this passage. He is the supreme enjoyer, and all others are working as his servants. As in the stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ekala Ishvara Krishna, Arasavabhritya. And next shloka says, Nachasya kaschid dhaito nadvesho nacha bandavaha vishyat apramattosu pramatta janma antakrit. No one is dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nor is anyone his enemy or friend. But he gives inspiration to those who have not forgotten him and destroys those who have. So here, Lord is neutral, but he samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshtosti na priyaha. So as a Paramatma is neutral, but e bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. But as a Bhagavan, he is having relationship. So he acts as a Bhagavan, he acts in a different way. He looks partial, but as a Paramatma is neutral. No, Prabhupada is nice purport. Forgetfulness of one's relationship with Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of one's repeated birth and death. Only one reason. Bhayam dityad. You are forgetful when you are in this material world. A living entity is an eternal as the Supreme Lord, but due to his forgetfulness is put into the material nature and transmigrates from one body to another. And when the body is destroyed, he thinks that he is also destroyed. Actually, this forgetfulness of his relationship with Lord Vishnu is the cause of his destruction. Anyone who revives his consciousness of the original relationship receives inspiration from the Lord. This does not mean that the Lord is someone's enemy and someone else's friend. He helps everyone. One who is not bewildered by the influence of material energy is saved, and one who is bewildered is destroyed. It is said, therefore, Harim bina na mrityum taranti. No one can be saved from the repetition of birth and death without the help of Supreme Lord. It is therefore the duty of all living entities to take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord. Yadbha bhayad bhati vatoyam suryastapati madbhayat yadbhayad vasati devo bhagno dhati yadbhayat. Out of fear of the Supreme Personality of God, the wind blows. Out of fear of Him, the sun shines. Out of fear of Him, the rain pours forth showers. And out of fear of Him, the hosts of heavenly bodies shed their lustre. And that is, He is the boss there. So if they does not do, they will get punished. Or they will be thrown out of the post. There is, this is not any it's not a dictator and there are all subordinates under him and he's trying to is like a tyrant, and it's not like that. It is like it is out of respect. So it is reverential respect. It's reverence, more of a reverence. Okay, is there like very some elderly, very senior person comes, a big Maharaj comes. We are fearful in the sense we are reverent. Okay, they are there. I should not do anything wrong. There are some senior people. We become little more conscious and careful like that. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dikshena Prakriti. Nature is working under my direction. A foolish person thinks that the nature is working automatically, but such an atheistic theory is not supported in the Vedic literature. Nature is working under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of God. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, and we also find here that the sun shines under the direction of Lord, and the cloud pours forth showers of rain under the direction of Lord. All natural phenomena are under superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Yad vanaspatayo bhiti latas चुष्टिभिः सह स्वस्वे काले भृघ्नन्ति पुष्पाणि च फलानि च. Out of fear of the Supreme Personality of God, the trees, creepers, herbs, sensational plants and flowers blossom and fructify, each in its own season. That is actually the time factor also, we can say. It makes it happen. Like not that the tree is knowing, okay, if I don't give fruits today in this season, Supreme Lord will be upset and he will punish me. It is not like that. They act according to their nature, and that is programmed by the Lord. As the sun rises and sets, the seasonal changes ensure at their appointed times by the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the seasonal plants, flowers, herbs, and the trees all grow under the direction of Supreme Lord. So when the earth is not given, then Pruthi Maharaj came and to came punish her. So in that way, there is punishment for the nature. So the energies are acting under the direction of Lord. Sometimes some individuals they try to do some mischief or anything, then the Lord punishes. Like when Mother Earth was not happy with what is happening here, then she stopped giving. So it's not the trees, it is actually Mother Earth who decides whether the trees should give her flowers and fruits. Because the nourishment for the trees and all comes from Mother Earth only. She decides. And the seasons are also same thing. Extreme cold, extreme hot, they are also under the control of demigods. So they decide. On what basis now people are so much afraid of environmental. Nowadays, so many uh, countries they have this uh, regular meetings regarding how to protect the environment. But the only reason why the environment is behaving a particular way is because of the Supreme Lord. Such a simple thing they are not able to understand. Here, so clearly it is given. The seasons, the herbs, the plants, flowers, or even they say some species are getting extinct. It is not just because uh, by it's not happening by chance. It is the punishment by the higher forces. If you start cleaning the environment of the heart, stop killing the animals, automatically everything is set. The trees will nicely, fruits will come on time, seasons will go. No extreme climates. So many, so many places they are getting floods, and even in cities we have floods where there is no river. In this area around 100 kilometers we don't have any river, but still we have floods in the city when the rain comes because we have damaged the ecological system is getting damaged. We are damaging the proper systems here, and we have floods here also. What the point is, it is actually the punishment by the nature. It is a punishment by the higher forces. All this uh, they say polar ice is melting and no this is happening, that is happening. No need of spending billions of rupees, and they spend, every country is giving something. They wanted to reduce the carbon emission, and they wanted to do so many activities to protect the environment. Yeah, if you want to protect environment, stop killing animals and change the heart of people. Clean the environment in the heart first. And automatically environment is clean. What is the purpose in spending billions of dollars? And no, every country they are trying to reduce. Some countries are trying to reduce their carbon emission as a responsibility. I know some countries they want to produce more, so they don't even bother about what is carbon emission and what. And because they want things is cheaper, they produce more and more plastic, which will damage everything. And all these things are just because of one reason. So they have so many reasons they are explaining, but only one reason is environment in the heart is dirty. Once you clear it, then only it is possible to do something for the environment in the global environment. You can see so many summits that happen, global environment summits, and every country they are actually contributing based on how much pollution they do, that much they contribute. Okay, this much pollution from our country to the whole globe, so this much percentage of money we give so that it reduces. It won't reduce, they get more punishment. They don't understand, it's such a simple thing. And here very clearly Bhagavatam says, that's why Prabhupada said Bhagavatam is a solution for all problems, because it is solving the main fundamental problem, the problem of the contaminated heart. So here, the out of fear of the Supreme Personality, the trees, creepers, herbs, seasonal plants, flowers, blooming and fructify each in its own season. Now, in all seasons, we are getting all fruits. That means we are trying to go against the nature, and then they will punish. So what happens? Because you are creating fruits in all seasons, the fruits are not at all safe for the health. Even though I enjoy mango in all seasons of year, because it is made in an artificial way, the tongue will be satisfied, the mind will be satisfied, but heart will be unhappy. There will not be satisfaction in the heart because there is an exploitative mentality in it. You are not going according to the nature. You got to take regional and seasonal food. I got oranges from South Africa. They travel for 1 month. They are frozen. They are brought here, and then they come in the market. You go in Vrindavan, you get oranges from South Africa. That is not needed actually. Of course, we take some time, but no, but the point is, it is going to damage. That's why people get so much. What is happening? Because mind is getting damaged because of that food. It is not at all sattva food. Even though they are fruits, but it is not sattvic because they are made in an artificial way. They're brought in a, they are kept in an artificial. They put some chemicals and all, and because of that, mind is in passion. Because the food is in passion, and that makes people have all this stress, anxieties, and all this because of the damaged mind. We should be very careful. We should know that everybody is thinking, oh, they're trying with so many ways to be happy, but the whole system itself is wrong, and we are trying to be happy in a wrong system which is not going to work. The fundamental itself is wrong. It cannot live in this way, and people don't understand. They're so much concerned in environment, but nobody is spending some time. Okay, give little money to change the environment in the heart of people. It's people, they don't uh, they don't understand, unfortunately. Okay. As the sun rises and sets, the seasonal changes ensure at their appointed times by the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the seasonal plants, flowers, herbs, and trees all grow under the direction of Supreme Lord. So it's all seasonal, very important. It is not that the plants grow automatically without any cause. As the atheistic philosopher says, no, plants are growing according to the will of Lord. But what we are trying to do it in artificial way. That is damaging. That's why it is not sattva. Even though it is fruit, it is not sattva. There is no sattva guna food only, no, in one way. Rather, they grow in a pursuance of the supreme order of the supreme personality of God. It is confirmed in the Vedic literature that the Lord's diverse energies are working so nicely that it appears that everything is being done automatically. सर्वन्ति सरितो भीता नोत्सो नोत्सर्पच्च उदद्रयत् अग्निरिन्द्रे स्वगरीभिर्भूर्ना मज्जति यद्भयात्. Out of fear of the Supreme Personality of God, the rivers flows. Now rivers are getting dried. And in India, very soon, many rivers which are supposed to flow whole year, they are no more flowing. I remember in a childhood, we used to, in summer, we have this Godavari river. So we used to walk across the river. In summer, we can walk across, go to the other bank. So the water was very less in summer. Now, normal time also it became very less. That was only in summer. We used to go for bathing. And now normal time also water is very less. They are getting dried. Why? Supreme Lord is punishing. The oceans never overflow. Out of fear of him only does fire burns and does the earth with its mountains do not sink in the waters of the universe. We can understand from the Vedic literature that this universe is half filled with water on which Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu is lying. And from his abdomen, lotus flower goes, and within the stem of that lotus flower are different planets exist. The material scientists explain that all these different planets are floating because of law of gravity or some other law. But actual lawmakers is the Supreme Lord. When we speak of law, there must be lawmaker. The material scientists can discover laws of nature, but they are unable to recognize the lawmaker. From Srimad Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita, we can know who the lawmaker is. The lawmaker is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said here that the planets do not sink, since they are floating under the order of or energy of the Supreme Personality of God. They do not fall down in the water, which covers half the universe. All the planets are heavy and their various mountains, seas, oceans, cities, palaces, and buildings, and yet they are floating. It is understood on these pages that all other planets that are floating in air have oceans and mountains similar to those of this planet. नभो ददाति स्वष्टां पद्मयन्नियमाददः लोकं स्वदेहं तनुते महान् सप्तभिरावृतम्. Subject to the control of the Supreme Personality of God, the sky allows outer space to accommodate all the various plants which holds innumerable living entities. The total universal body expands with its seven coverings under his supreme control. So we have two more. We'll just take. Out of fear of the Supreme Personality of the directions, demigods in charge of the modes of material nature carry out the functions of creation, maintenance, and destruction. Everything animate and inanimate within the universal world is under their control. We'll just few one more purport we'll take. The eternal time factor has no beginning and no end. It is a representative of the Supreme Personality of God, the maker of the criminal world. It brings about the end of the phenomenal world, carries on the work of creation by bringing an individual into existence from another, and likewise it dissolves the universe by destroying even the Lord of Death, Yamaraj. So we'll just take one last purport. By the influence of eternal time, which is a representative of the Supreme Personality of God, the Father begets a son, and the Father dies by the influence of cruel death. But by the time's influence, even the Lord of cruel death is killed. That is, Yamaraj is also having lifespan. In other words, all the demigods within the material world are temporary, like our lives. Our lives last for 100 years at the most. And similarly, although their lives may last for millions and billions of years, the demigods are not eternal. No one can live within this material world eternally. The phenomenal world is created, maintained, and destroyed for the by the finger signals of the Supreme Personality of God. Therefore, a devotee does not desire anything in this material world. A devotee desires only to serve the Supreme Personality of God. This servitude exists eternally. The Lord exists eternally. Servitus exists eternally. And the service exists eternally. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purport of the third canto, 29th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Explanation of Devotional Service by Lord Kapila. So, thank you all very much. We will start tomorrow with the next chapter. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.